So today I'm going to be talking about the alternatives that are out there and available if you don't want to use disposable feminine hygiene products. So the main two things that I know about are cloth pads and menstrual cups. This is a Diva cup. It's a certain brand of menstrual cup, and you only need one of these. You can just use it over and over. You just empty it out, you rinse it out, and it's really sustainable because you only have to buy it one time. So that is one option. Cloth pads are not a new invention in any way. Women have been using them for years. These are a certain brand, but you can also make your own cloth pads. How these ones work is they have a little insert that you can take out. You can put more in depending how many you need, and then when you're done using the pad, you soak it in a tub of water. That water can actually be used to water gardens. It's really good for plants. And then once you're through your cycle and all your pads have been soaking, you can just put them in the laundry and wash them just like your other clothes. And then I usually hand dry or air dry my pads, so you can hang them out on the line or just lay them flat, and it's super easy. So I'll just show you all these. They come in different sizes. If you make your own, you can tailor them exactly to fit your body, and they're also super sustainable because you can just use them over and over again.
My mom gave me pads that she made, and I've had them for probably like 4 or 5 years, and they're great.
Well, I started using the cloth pads out of necessity because I was living with my aunt and my dad was like, I'm gonna go buy those for you. So my aunt had cloth pads, and I was like, oh hey, what's this? And she's like, oh, it's cloth pad, just use it, you'll like it. Okay. And I love them. So I just love the cloth pads. They're so much more comfy. It's not that awkward sound of the disposable pads, like if you put it on wrong and it's like stuck to your underwear weird. That awkward sound. Yeah, you don't have that.
Has anyone ever put on a pad and then like your peeps have gotten stuck to it?
Yeah.
That really sucks. Just gonna throw that out there.
And also when the Velcro does not quite like work, it sometimes just like brushes against your thighs, and I don't know, to me it's really uncomfortable. Like sometimes it doesn't stick that well, and it's just in the way.
And a random little health fact, if you're really prone to getting yeast infections, cloth pads actually help more eliminate the risk factors for that.
How so?
It dries you out more, helps keep more unnatural bacteria away from your body. They're just great.
I want to say one other positive thing about making your own cloth pads, that I think it can help us to find this women empowerment again. Because we usually take for granted the fact that we have to buy these things from someone else. And women used to make their own pads, like for thousands of years. And we have lost that touch to something so important and so like inherent of being a woman. And it's part of taking care of yourself. And so taking this back and taking control and actually making yours for your body and your cycle, I think it gives you a really beautiful sense of like feminine power over this.
Well, I first got the Diva cup because I was going on a 3-week-long backpacking trip, and I didn't want to be carrying all my feminine hygiene supplies with me and having to cart them through the woods where there was animals and such.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I first got the Diva Cup, and I've never looked back. It's been great, but it's kind of interesting to me that these alternative feminine hygiene products are better for nature, and that's the reason that I first bought it, was so I could be out in nature. And I think it makes sense that when you use alternative feminine hygiene products, you're going to be more in touch with natural cycles.
And I had never heard about this, and I happened to stay in a squad, like a feminist squad, with a lot of women who were all about like women empowerment, and it was like a goodbye gift from them, and that's the first time I started using the Diva Cup. That was the Diva Cup, and it was really helpful during my travels. Still have the same one.
What's the process of inserting and taking out the Diva Cup?
Cool. Good question. Some people are intimidated by these things. You definitely have to get used to them at first. But basically it just folds up into a smaller thing and you insert it. And then it's up there. You don't feel it. It doesn't leak. And then when you're ready, you can just pull it out, empty it out, and rinse it out, and then you can put it back in.
Cool. I have a question, just about the Debbie Cup. Like, can you ever like push it in too much? Because I feel like it could get like stuck.
No, you definitely can't get it stuck. You can.
It's always reachable at all times.
Well, one thing that I do to take it out is just to avoid suction. You can press it, and that way you don't just pull it. You press it and pull, or you also use your muscles to push. And so if you push and pull at the same time, it's easier to get it out.
Since before I used the Keeper, I always used pads or tampons. I always wondered, like, how much am I bleeding? So it's like a science experiment. So like for the first time in my life to like know, like, oh, okay, which I know is really nerdy, but what can I say?
Years less.
And then let's see. Yeah, and then it's kind of expensive at first, which but over time, like they're supposed to last for like what, 7 years or something, and if you 10, wow. So yeah, if you do the math, you end up saving like hundreds of dollars. So I don't know. I'm a cheapskate, so when I first looked at the price, I'm like, I don't know. But I actually end up saving money.
I want to say something. It's a lot less practical. But this is something that I have never shared, but I'm gonna share it today. I used to have really strong cramps, and these started just about a year ago. That is really new to me because I had never had any kind of PMS or pain involved with my menstrual cycle. And I went to my mom, and my mom was like, well, maybe you're not accepting that part of yourself, and maybe you're like dreading your cycle and not enjoying it, so that's maybe the reason. So find something that helps you find enjoyment in it. So I thought about it, and the thing that I found is that because I have the Diva Cup, I could actually collect my blood, and I thought, like, what use can I find for it? And sometimes I paint, so that's what I did, because we have a lot of creativity that arises during our cycles, and so I thought that if I could collect it and create something with it, I would actually be like wishing to have my cycle more often, because I could have that opportunity to paint with it. So that's what I started doing, and yeah, the pain went away. So it might be just a psychological thing, but I was really grateful to have that like in my life, and that I could actually use it for something beautiful.
That's really cool. Yeah, has anyone else experienced a change in your relationship with your body or with your menstrual cycle since you started using alternative things?
Yeah, I feel like my cycle has definitely like gotten more regular and like lined up with the cycles of the moon a lot of the times. when I'm, especially like in the last few years, is when I've started using more natural options. And some other positive things for me have been like I'm really sensitive to chemicals, and like in the chemical pads that they sell in most stores, like in the bleach and all the chemicals that help them to absorb the fluid, then it's just like that actually like stings me and like hurts. And then with cloth pads that doesn't happen. Yeah, and also I really like watering my garden with the water that I soak my pads in. It's really fun, and it's like a way that we can give back to the garden, which is nice, to the earth.
One good experience that I've had with it is that it eliminates the dangers of getting toxic shock syndrome, because you're not being exposed to the intense amount of cotton in the blood that's just like kind of staying stagnant inside of you.
Toxic
shock.
Yeah, what is that?
As far as I know, it's like it's an infection that happens from a tampon staying inside of your vagina for too long. They say that it can happen from leaving it in for 12 hours and more. It has a lot to do, whether you get it or not, has also a lot to do with your body's ability to fight off infection. You know, so like if you have a really strong immune system, you're not going to necessarily get it, but it has to do with, you know, the blood. Blood has so many nutrients and so much bacteria in it that, you know, it's trying to get out of our bodies. We need to eliminate it, and it's just sitting inside of you. Bacteria is going to start spreading, and if you can't fight against it, then it can cause all sorts of really bad things like sterility, and it can cause UTIs, and it can cause you to have an increasing susceptibility to infection.
Well, these are like pretty generic symptoms,
Right.
and you would not link them necessarily to a tampon.
Yeah.
Right.
So you might continue using them while having the symptoms, and you don't know.
Does it just happen because of the materials themselves in the tampons, or is it because of the amount of time that you're putting that in your body for?
Both.
That and the fact that blood's just
Sitting there.
Lost.
But like the
Yeah.
cotton is also has a lot of
Yeah.
chemicals
Yeah,
and stuff in it.
exactly.
The
Especially
Debbie
the
cup,
scented ones.
Can you keep
Yeah.
can you keep that in for like
Scented.
like how long can you keep that in for?
The
Does
Diva
that
cup?
ever become a problem? Like if you
Diva
leave it in?
cups?
Yeah, the Diva cup.
Mm-mm.
You could just keep it in.
Yeah, and like
Sleep
leaving it
with
in
it.
overnight.
But it
and
like it
stuff is
captures
fun.
the blood. I feel like could you do a handstand in it?
No, I mean that's not good to do even.
Because it
Actually,
would.
Inversions?
All inversions are
So
really
you
bad
shouldn't
for
do
you.
yoga.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do yoga.
Because
I mean you
gentle-
can
just
do
don't
it.
upside
down.
well, yeah, I mean, not all.
Yeah, you can do it. I mean, it has
Roller
never
coasters,
happened to me that
no
it like
handstands.
overflows or anything.
Yeah.
You just shouldn't do it anyway during your menstrual cycle,
Mhm.
but you can
because
do
you
it.
don't want the blood to go the opposite.
Yeah, the opposite way.
But I feel like since it's open though, it's wide open, that it would be able to even like spill out if you're laying down, if you're like horizontal.
No,
Mhm.
it creates a section.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I said,
Okay.
like if you know, cause there's some moisture down there, and you give it a good turn. Cause like where is that thing? Here we go. For example, por ejemplo, like you actually kind of like don't videotape this.
No,
This is
no,
embarrassing. Just kidding. You like put it up in there, and then like
Your
this
discretion
little
advised.
lip thing like catches on. Like you have muscles
Yeah,
and
it
stuff,
gets
and
kind
you,
of stuck.
you give it a
Yeah.
good little turn, and it actually like it's like there's like some muscles that it goes up and
Okay.
gets caught
Because
on.
also
Gotcha.
the walls of your
You're like,
vagina, like they're pretty
Contract.
flexible, so they are usually contracted. So when you put that in there, they expand a bit, but not too much, and so it creates this like little safe space.
Safe haven for
Yeah. It's not like floating
connect.
around, you know. It's like
Yeah.
it's tight.
Okay, cool.
We need to get like a camera.
Well, I had a really cool experience. Maybe a month ago, I was out for a little hike with my friend, and she was on her cycle, and she had an accident. Well, it wasn't an accident. She just leaked through, and she's like, "Fuck, now we have to go home and we can't adventure because this sucks. And I was like, well, why don't you just use a little mullein leaf? And they're super water absorbent and they thrive in the desert, so they retain water really well. And they're also an antibacterial. And she used one and we were able to go hiking and adventuring in the woods, and she didn't have to think about it, and it was just really a beautiful reflection of, you know, like how resourceful humans can be in survival situations out in nature. And, you know, to touch on, you know, what you had said and what you had said, it's just like it brings us so much closer to the earth and to ourselves, and to see the relationship that we have with the earth mother and with the mother inside of us. And, you know, plants are here to help us and we can use them when we need to. And it was just really a awesome, wonderful thing to witness and help bring light to, because when you're traveling and when you're out there and you don't have anything, what are you going to do? You're not just going to sit there and hold yourself and run home, you know.
Yeah. Mullein is pretty awesome. Also,
Awesome.
to wipe yourself after. Yeah. I never asked myself, like, are there other options? Like, I just took for granted that that was like the only
That's
possible
the way
thing
it
in the world.
Yeah. I just get mad because I feel like I'm like being lied to. Maybe I'm getting like too
Yeah, like, I
over
wasted all
dramatic
that
about this,
time.
but
Or that something's being withheld, like.
yeah, like, oh my gosh, yeah, robbed of our sacred.
Well, I'm just glad I
knowledge.
didn't find out like after menopause.
Yeah.
Really I have time to like implement these really sustainable
Like, damn
alternatives.
it! I wish I had my cycle again.
I'd like to add something. I think that on the note of the women's empowerment, it kind of speaks to me in a way of attention and mindfulness. And, you know, most people want to just be able to take a tampon and shove it up themselves and go on with their day and not really think twice about it and not take the time to honor, like, what's going on with myself right now. And I think that when we allow ourselves to spend a lot more time focusing our attention on the process and what it takes to make this happen in a conscious way is really important for us to take the time to do. Because when we're not, you know, when we're not allowing ourselves to take that time, we're just missing and skipping out and disconnecting ourselves further and further and further away from such a beautiful process.
Yeah.
You like
To
fold
check it out.
You like put it in there and then you kind of like spin it and there's like suction.
Yeah. I don't think we have access.
What kind of muscles are there? I'm kind of wondering now.